When we talk to people at shows like the Paris Air Show, we get a kind of feeling of the issues that are really affecting us, whether it's AI coming in, whether it's supply chain or shortage of staff. Is it true, though? Well, we're going to talk to the experts. I'm joined by John Schmidt, who is the Global Head of Aerospace and Defence for Accenture. John, welcome. Now, you do this wonderful report on the commercial aerospace insight. These issues that we talk about, is this what's coming up to you from the organizations you work with?
Well, as a matter of fact, it is. And I think when you mentioned supply chain, workforce, AI, there's a kind of a common theme that I think draws all these things together, and it's technology. And what I would refer to as the ongoing revolution in technologies. And you can even see behind us, a number of examples of what we're seeing and doing in the industry. And to make it in terms of an example, let's take workforce first. We have tremendous challenges in workforce. We had challenges in workforce before COVID. They're a little bit different than we see today. And in some cases, things are getting a little bit better. We're seeing attrition coming down, but we also have a tremendous number of new people coming in. And if we look at the demographics, we're seeing smaller cohorts coming forward in North America and Europe, which means we're going to have fewer workers to choose in the future. So technology is an important part of that. And AI, which you also mentioned, comes up as one of those enabling technologies. We've long held a view that it's going to be a human plus AI equation. It's not about AI replacing people doing jobs. It's humans doing more with less, if you will, using AI enablement. And so that's going to be a part of the future. And then we look at supply chain, which you brought up, which comes up every time we do a survey. We have a situation now where it's still tight. There's still headwinds dealing with supply chain. I was just literally in a meeting earlier today talking about this very topic. And yet, if we look out at our research that comes in the Commercial Aerospace Insight Report, the next 12 to 18 months, people are expecting it to be getting better. Not a huge surprise if we also think about the rates that Airbus and Boeing are putting out there. And if they hold to those rates, as they come up, it will make it easier to get back to what we would call maybe the new normal in supply chain. So common theme is technology. There's a number of different examples of that. And when you think about workforce and supply chain, we're seeing that coming through loud and clear in our research.
But if we look at the growing backlogs that the OEMs have, and you've got the airlines screaming for new airplanes to meet the growing demand, can the industry afford to wait a couple of years to get back to normal?
Well, I think there's a lot going on now to try and figure out how to service that demand. The challenge is supply chain has to have some time to get back. And while we think about the larger companies a lot, at least I do in my job, they also have the benefit of scale. So when you have newer workers who are fighting a learning curve, they have the ability to make investments in tools like we have that help with the identification of nonconformances or doing scans using LiDAR, radar. Then you get down to tier one. Many of those still have that scale and that ability, but now we're going to 2 and 3. And they lost workers as well. They lost them to early retirements. They lost them to other jobs during the COVID downturn, and replacing them and dealing with that learning curve, they don't have the scope and scale to be able to bring technologies and deal with it. So until they're able to get up onto the learning curve, we're going to have a hard time. But there's a lot of effort going in. I know that Airbus and Boeing and many of the other larger players are doing the best they can to help enable and to engage with their supply base to help make that go as fast as it can. Because as you said, the airlines are looking for these aircraft. Air travel is coming back. We're going to be back at pre-COVID levels within the next couple of quarters. I mean, it's something that they're all focused on.
And one final question, John. We're going to do all of that, but will we do it sustainably, or at least as sustainably as we've said we're going to do by 2050?
Great question. So sustainability I look at in two sides. On one side, we have the products and being able to hit those 2050 goals from a product and industry perspective. And that's going to take a mix. It's certainly going to be relying on similar fuels, fuel sources, propulsion, open rotor, hydrogen, structures, truss-based wing, blended wing body, you got composites and other materials, and then actually how we operate, whether we're flying an echelon or we're doing things to avoid contrails, right? All that has to come together if we want a chance at hitting 2050 goals. And at the same time, internal to the enterprise, we have to be thinking about scope 1, 2, and 3, and thinking through the supply chain and how we drive sustainability through that. In fact, we have a couple demonstrations here, some tools we use to help provide data to help track sustainability and hitting those goals through the supply chain. It's going to be a full package if we want a chance at hitting those 2050 goals.
Great. John, thank you very much.
Thank you. It's good to see you again.